Hello and welcome to Expats Everywhere. If you could tell us your name, where you're from, and a little about yourself.
I'm Elizabeth Blue, originally from Nashville, Tennessee, USA, but living currently in Thailand and just was living in Bali. And I'm an entrepreneur. I am a comedy person. I'm a spiritual digital nomad, adventurer, lover of life.
A lot
Yeah,
of, a lot of slashes there. I like it. What
yeah.
countries have you worked in?
I've worked in USA, Spain, France, Indonesia, Thailand. Yeah. Luxembourg.
Okay, and in those European countries, what were you doing?
I was doing my business. Yeah,
Okay,
so I was doing all my online work, so virtually over the computer.
sweet. And were you living there for long, or were these short-term stays?
They were pretty short term. Yeah, so the longest stint was spending 2 months in France. But I did some trips back and forth between some places in Europe, like going to Spain and going to France. So being one place for 10 days, another place for 10 days. So it was shorter trips, but I just didn't have the patience to wait to travel till vacation.
Right,
So I just took my work with me.
right. That's the beauty of being a digital nomad, though, right? You can just pick up and move and be in interesting places all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about this a little bit before recording. You have just transitioned from living in Bali and now you're in Thailand. Is that correct?
Yes.
Let's reflect on your experience in Bali. What was it like working in Bali?
Yeah, so I was in Bali for 13 months working, doing my business online from Bali. And the biggest challenge is it's so fun there. You don't want to work at all. There's so many things going on. I was in Ubud, this community with a lot of interesting events and delicious food everywhere. So yeah, it was a bit distracting, and I actually slowed down a lot on my business, which I was able to. The cost of living is so low there. Other than that, it was just I had to deal with having late night calls or early morning calls because most
Hmm.
of my clients were still in the United States. So it'd be having calls either at 7 o'clock, 8 p.m. at night or 7 a.m. in the morning. So that was probably the biggest challenge. Other than that, it was really nice because my clients would be asleep while I was awake. So I never got those emails in the middle of the day that's like, what's happening? Where is this? And I had full freedom over my schedule, full flexibility to work when I wanted to, aside from our calls.
That's a dream, hey?
Yeah.
Okay, so can you tell us, from your knowledge, what kinds of jobs are available for English-speaking expats?
The biggest thing would be, so it all comes down to, is there someone who needs what you can do, whether it's like a job or it's a business? Where I was in Ubud, there aren't really these teach English in a foreign country jobs in, at least where I was in Bali, but I'm
Sure.
sure there's some somewhere in Indonesia.
Hmm.
What I saw more of is people who are entrepreneurial, starting their own business, and either they have it online or there's some sort of audience for it in the city they're in. And so, like in Bali, there are people who lead a lot of events that the community comes to, whether that's dance events or there's a lot of spiritual healing. A lot of people there are really into energy work or spiritual work or meditation. So if you have some sort of workshop or retreats, you can bring it there because there's an audience for it there. Yeah, you just have to be mindful of the laws. So like if you were going to try to work primarily in person there, like leading your events and your workshops and your retreats, you would need to get a work visa, which I think is about 3,000 US for a year to be able to work legally. So that's just permission to go work and promote yourself widely. Otherwise, the best thing to do is to offer something on your computer to people all over the world and then just bring it with you. Yeah, to Bali.
All right. Did you notice that there were a lot of restaurants owned by expats, restaurants, bars, and other service industry things owned by expats?
Yeah, that's actually an interesting. Yeah, yes, there is a lot of that. So like one restaurant comes to mind in particular called Zest, and this French guy owns it, and then the chef is from originally the Netherlands, and then a lot of the Balinese work there, and they probably have other people who are collaborating from other countries. All these different restaurants that have sprouted out in this community by expats, and one good thing is because the rent is pretty cheap there. I think I don't know what they pay, but like rent is a lot cheaper there. So if you had an idea for some sort of brick and mortar that served that community, it is a lot of people run successful businesses there. And I actually know a group of guys who are tattoo artists, and they're not just tattoo artists, they're into tattoo culture and
Wow.
healing culture. And they've created this whole place called the Karma House, and where people come and tattoo, and they also do breath work, and there's also dance, and you can kind of create your dream as long as it's serving the people of the community who will come show up and pay money for it.
Gotcha. Okay. So let's zero in more on what a typical day looked like for you at your job. You kind of got to write your own hours. So what did that look like?
Yeah, well, and like I said, I also took my hours way down once I
Hmm.
got to Bali, and there wasn't pressures of paying $1,500 a month for rent in New York City,
Hmm.
Bali. So, but a typical day would be waking up. I actually still would wake up early, doing my practices like yoga, meditation, eating a nice breakfast, getting my coconut delivered by the coconut delivery guy, and looking at my passion fruit tree and birds chirping. Um, and then, yeah, I might spend a couple hours doing some work in the morning, and then probably go get like some amazing vegan lunch somewhere and meet with a friend. Then in the afternoon, what did I do with my time there? I don't know. It kind of flies by. I mean, I probably would spend 2 or 3 hours a day working, maybe.
Okay.
So if I had more to do that day, I'd maybe put in a little time that afternoon, or maybe work on some of my own, like creative something, or go to some sort of dance class. And yeah, in the night, probably go to some sort of event, and or have a client call at night because of the hours.
So being a digital nomad in really anywhere in the world, how much can you expect to earn? I assume that you're having calls with a lot of clients that are in the US or maybe England, Canada. How much can you expect to earn?
It definitely depends on a lot of factors, but the first factor is your determination and what you want to earn.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's limitless, really. In theory, I mean, the limitlessness would take a lot of work.
The hours, yeah.
So yeah, if you were serving people in a one-on-one way,
Hmm.
so that would still require time for hours. So you have limited time. So I mean, time for dollars is the thing.
Sure.
So you can only spend so much time doing calls. So there is a cap to that, which is definitely probably the easiest thing to do. It's actually easier to sell one-on-one offering where someone really feels confident they can get a result than like these cheaper courses, unless you have a giant following as far as sustaining yourself.
Yeah, yeah, we know exactly about that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, but to give you some actual like numbers, I mean, it totally depends on what you put in and what you put out. I'll just say numbers popping in, like you could make $50,000, 60,000 if you put the work in, probably hired a coach and were more determined. You could get up to that $100,000 and beyond. That takes a lot more determination. Or you can kind of just get by 30,000 if you're living in a cheap country and you're okay with that. So it's a huge range, and it's what you put in, and it's what support you're getting too.
So let's shift this in the context of Bali. How much does someone need to earn to live a comfortable lifestyle? Obviously, it's not going to be like a Western style lifestyle, but with normal luxuries that you might have in the West?
Not counting all the other bills you have, because I don't know what other bills you have to pay. Although the first step would be to totally simplify those. So like,
Let's say someone's debt free, like
okay,
just focusing on their bills in Bali.
Bali, yeah. I would say like $2,000 a month, you're golden. You can get rent for like $350, have a nice little spot, and then eat great food, go to the spa, put a little aside. 2,000 is good. 3,000 you're able to eat breakfast and lunch and dinner out every day if you want, probably. That might be a little of a stretch. It depends on you can definitely blow through cash pretty easily there with the amount of events and food. But yeah, I'd say 2,000 to 3,000 is a pretty comfortable life there.
Let's fall into that midpoint between that range you just said. So 2,500, how much of 2,500 can you save? Living a reasonable lifestyle, not being super stingy, but not being crazy frivolous with money.
Yeah, living a reasonable lifestyle. I would say probably like 500 a month.
Okay.
But you need to be smart with your money. Like I said, you can easily blow through it.
Okay, let's talk about one of the tricky things with Indonesia in terms of getting started there. How much money do you need to start up? We've heard that there is deposits that you have to pay that are like a year in advance. Is that true for housing?
Oh, they have said that. I never had that.
You didn't experience that?
No, I haven't experienced that anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah. It's really easy to get something for the month. You can get something for a week there and see if you like it. And there's a lot of housing available in Ubud because the tourist industry it's blown up there. So more and more locals make their living out of building little houses to sell to Westerners to live. So you could probably save money if you wanted to stay somewhere for 6 months and you knew you did. But me and pretty much everyone I know just does it by the month because you honestly may want to move in 2 months. You might, or who knows, yeah.
Okay, so some people that have an idea of staying there for a year might have to pay that year in advance. If they want a work visa, they have to drop down that $3,000 that you were saying for the work visa. What are some other startup costs?
Yeah, as far as startup costs, really, there are some different applications you need just for some logistics of running a business online that can cost. Usually a lot of them might cost like $12 to $15 a month for what you need. Even just like having a business bank account, then that's going to be another $10. And so maybe all those add up to like $150 a month if you're starting on just a basic level. These are just rounding numbers out of my brain quickly.
So looking at Bali and Indonesia in general, how should someone pack to move there and what's the weather like?
That's a really good question.
Thank you.
Yeah, because once you're there, especially if you're coming from the United States, it's kind of a pain to get anything you need from the United States. It's a far flight. It's $1,000 usually.
We have our friends at Foreign Ship that can ship things. So we just made that partnership, and they can ship things at a really low cost. So people need to check out Foreign Ship.
I need to check them out too. I need them.
They will get you things from the U.S. to wherever you are around the world pretty reasonably.
Yeah. Cool. Well, so I would say start with all your electronic needs.
Yes.
Because all of your Apple Store, there's not like a legit Apple Store that I could find. At least my own experience, it's harder to get like the nice Apple things or having your computer fixed or getting your good camera. So I would say come with your gear. That is the thing. Simplify everything. Come with your gear. If you have like medical needs or favorite supplements, stuff like that, I would say bring those over.
So worry less about the clothes. Bring the electronics, your medication, and put that in the suitcase and go.
Yeah, because the weather in Bali, it changes. The weather's been interesting. It's a tropical climate, so it can get to be very hot. It can also be a little chilly and rainy, but still warm. So like I haven't worn jeans in a year and a half. Or I haven't worn jeans in like 15 months since I've been on this side of the planet. I don't even own jeans. I just have a bunch of dresses that I've picked up here because actually the clothing I had before really wasn't suitable for here because you just need something light and comfy. Comfy, cute is the style, like yoga clothes, things to work out and move in, be comfortable, feel good in. So you can get all of that pretty much in these, especially tiny communities like Ubud. And actually, there's a lot more stores that cater to Westerners. So like Dr. Bronner's soap, and there's some organic things. So you can pretty much find what you need as far as personal supplies, clothing. But yeah, bring like your best pair of shoes. Not that, wait, hold on, skip that. Sometimes people don't even wear shoes. They were on their motorbike without shoes. A good pair of flip-flops. So basically comes down to your gear and your contact lenses, eyeglasses.
Right. I feel like that we've already touched on this question, but I'm going to ask it just to, I don't know, hopefully you'll think of something else to say. We talked about electronics, especially Apple products, but what are some things that you can't find in Bali that you recommend people should bring?
It is like those things you can just quickly buy on Amazon, like things like I was trying to find one of those little tripod guys, I forget what they're called, but the whole selfie stick situation, that the champion selfie stick situation, and I went to the electronics store and this is like the best, this is what I could get there. I wanted the tripod. This is okay, but I wanted the whole nice thing. So definitely electronics.
How do you cope without certain things that you aren't able to find in Bali? And are there like different products that you can buy?
Yeah. I guess it depends on what you feel most attached to in your life. Like I'm not really into stuff. I just need my basic needs taken care of and I'm good.
That's what makes you a good digital nomad.
Yeah.
You cannot be tied to stuff if you're a digital nomad, apart from the stuff to run your business.
Yeah. So I would say coping is pretty easy because life is so good there. You kind of get over any other stuff and you figure out how to deal with things like finding a tripod that's kind of a fake tripod, but it'll do. That's really the biggest challenge. But yeah, you can get great organic products and local supplements. Yeah. So it's pretty easy to cope.
All right, let's change gears. Let's talk about safety. Is it safe there? Do you feel safe on a personal level?
Yeah, I felt super safe, especially the Balinese culture. They are really welcoming to Westerners because it's a tourist, like Ubud is really tourist place. So like you are supporting them to live their lives. Like you come in and pay money and then they have money and that is a benefit to them. And the religion there is Hindu and they're really devout Hindus. Every morning they're leaving these offerings outside of every door every afternoon. So you'll see them praying. So this is a culture constantly in prayer. They're constantly praying over the houses and they have different ceremonies to cleanse out the bad spirits and all these things. So you're in this really beautiful energy of the place. So I felt safe with the people. Still, it's a good idea to not be out at 3 a.m. in a random part of the country. Because if you go outside at Ubud, you're getting more into the local places that aren't as excited about Westerners. As a woman, it's important to like have some modesty because all the Westerners coming wearing as little clothes as possible. Like can invite a little unwanted attention or just be disrespectful or it's just uncomfortable. So you have to be mindful about that.
How do you meet people and what can you do for fun?
It is so easy to meet people in Ubud where I was at and probably also Canggu, another part of Bali where a lot of Westerners gather. There are these little hubs. There are people from all around the world gathered there for their own journey. And so like within a day, within a week, you can have these relationships that are like so deep as if you've known them for years, and the kind of the different events going on. So like there's yoga, there's these different healing things, there's authentic relating. There are these things where you're pouring out your heart and soul to someone you just met. So you can get pretty deep pretty fast. Yeah, you just start going to events, you go to restaurants, you just stay open, you look around, you have a smile on your face, and you make a friend. It's really people, because everyone there comes alone. People are seeking community. The community is actually what kept me there for 13 months because I was surrounded by the most amazing people. People come in, they come out, but there's constantly someone interesting. There's ecstatic dance, so it's like this great dance party, but no drugs, no alcohol, just dancing your heart out a few times a week. Those are happening, different dance events, different women's circles where women are gathering, different, what else is happening? Cacao ceremonies. People gather and they drink hot, pure chocolate that lights up your heart center. and gosh, what else? Yeah, there's retreats. So if you're into personal growth, if you're into spirituality, you will make friends very easily because you'll be drawn to these events with other people who are drawn to them.
I like that. You said something in there, just lift your head up and smile. I feel like that's great advice pretty much anywhere you live. What's the visa process like?
So there's a few options. The first is when you land there, and you can be there 30 days, you get the visa on arrival at the airport.
Okay.
So that will allow you to be there 60 days. You just have to get an extension officially at immigration. The other option, there's a 6-month visa, and then there's a 12-month business visa, which you have to leave the country every 2 months. But it's easier to come in and out of the country with that one.
All right, and if you guys want any additional detail on the visa process, we'll make a short little video where Elizabeth goes into more detail on what this process is like, because it is fairly involved. How is the healthcare, and would you feel comfortable getting a procedure done in Ubud?
I would not feel comfortable getting a procedure in Ubud.
Love the honesty.
Yeah, I haven't had to. One thing, this actually goes back to safety, that you really have to be aware of is people drive motorbikes really fast. There's a lot of people get into bad motorbike accidents there. It's also you're more in the element, so things with health can crop up. Like people can get weird rashes, stuff like that does happen out there. So health is something you have to be really aware of. And like driving slowly and doing your best to not get in a situation where you have to be in the hospital. So I haven't had a personal experience in the hospital, but I have heard some stories, like a friend got into a really bad wreck, and it just did not sound like the ideal situation when he described his hospital experience. I can't speak firsthand. So for basics like that, you can get covered, but I would definitely do my best to stay healthy there and not need to have like a serious operation.
Do you think that Bali is a good travel hub? Why or why not?
1,000,000,000 times yes. Wait, when you say travel hub, what do you mean?
I mean, is it easy to get around the country, around Indonesia, seeing different parts? And is it a good travel hub in terms of being able to see other parts of the world?
Yeah, I would say Bali is a great travel hub. So you're really close to so many Southeastern Asian countries. You're close to Australia. So especially for people coming from the Western, like US or Europe or anywhere like over there, it's a great place to come and easily take a trip to Thailand, take a trip to Singapore, take a trip to Australia, go see the islands in Indonesia. You can get decently cheap flights, and you also meet a lot of people who have done a lot of traveling, so you get a lot of recommendations and tips.
So apart from being a digital nomad, you also discussed about being a comedian. You were you were living in New York, you did some comedy there. How are you able to transition to being a comedian in Southeast Asia? Is it easy? What's that like?
That was interesting because what happened in Bali was my creativity was reignited. I was really on a spiritual healing journey in Bali that feels like it chose me. It guided me. It was like, come here, work on yourself, get happy, go make something of yourself. Um, and so as I was doing all these beautiful events and things happening like dance and music and singing, all these things going on, it lit up in me a desire again to create. So I think that's the first thing, is just having that desire come up. And one day I was in a dance class and I looked up at the stage and I thought, like, I could actually put my show up there. And so then I just asked someone, hey, can you introduce me to the person here who books things? And yeah, and then I was able to book my show there. And because I was bringing something really, really different, which is a one-woman comedy show, there's not a lot of that happening there. There was a lot of interest in it. So I was able to have two full houses, sold out shows there, and got a lot of great feedback, a lot
Awesome.
of laughs. And so that just inspired in me to take whatever I can do and just put up a stage anywhere just for the joy of it. So yeah, like here in Thailand, also just sharing with people that I did this comedy show. They get curious and say, hey, do you want to come do some comedy in the middle of this rock band festival? So tomorrow night I'm going to put up 10 minutes at a rock band festival in Thailand.
Sweet. If people want to get in touch with you, how can they get in touch with you and learn more about your comedy?
They can come follow me on YouTube, which is going to have more consistent videos after this call with Josh. Yeah, you can come find me on YouTube. Yeah, so my YouTube URL is youtube.com/ElizabethBlue.
Okay,
So you can
perfect.
just find me there.
Yeah, and we'll also link it into the description of this video so you guys can check out her channel as well. She's going to be much more consistent with it, so you guys should be able to get videos on a weekly or monthly basis. What's your goal?
Weekly. Weekly.
Yes. Amen. All right, last question is, if you could tell us, what are the pros and cons to living in Bali?
The pros, the food is amazing, the people are amazing, the dance is amazing, the coconuts are amazing, life is amazing. The cons, it can rain a lot. There's some ants. You have to be careful on motorbikes. The air quality is not great. You can't drink tap water. Sometimes you get kind of like tired of the whole everything spiritual community weirdness that can happen. And you miss home and you miss your friends back home. But more pros is just like, it's such a supportive, beautiful life and nature and wild experience. Is totally worth going for, at least go for 10 days, but definitely a month.
Brilliant. Elizabeth, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. We hope you success in the future, especially with your comedy, your YouTube channel, and then also you being a digital nomad. I think it's awesome. We appreciate it.
Thanks. I so enjoyed this, and I hope everyone goes and does some exploring and traveling and creating.
That's right.